going on, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of Essential Scares. I am your host, Corbin, and with me we've got Bobby.
Hello.
Grant.
Hello.
And Alan.
Good evening.
Today we're going to be reviewing The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, and then determining whether or not it is essential. After that, we'll close out the show with a quick update on what else we've been up to lately. Bobby, you've got a spoiler warning for us?
Of course I do. This will serve as your first, one, and only spoiler warning for the brand new movie, The Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, we will attempt to be spoiler-free in the essential part of this podcast. Skip the time code ahead. The Conjuring 3 tells the story of Orrin and Elizabeth Warren as they attempt to exonerate the real murderer who murdered an actual human being by saying demons or some shit did it. Corbin.
So, you know, I'm gonna skirt that a little bit. We're gonna come back. We're gonna wrap around back to it.
I feel like it's worth mentioning off the top.
I agree. I mean, I think.
Hold on.
You know what?
Manslaughter. He didn't murder anybody. He manslaughtered somebody.
It's true.
Okay.
That's
okay.
right. It's all about what the law says. And I'm actually going to use that to jump off into my first big point, which is that I feel deceived by this movie's marketing. And I say that because I really expected, even though the trial had like nothing to do with anything in real life, there really wasn't much to it. I really expected, like 2 days or whatever.
Yeah.
I really expected them to ham that up in the movie, and for The Conjuring 3 to be almost like a court procedural at times.
Yeah.
A lot of the other reviews that I saw leading into this was that this one brought some fresh takes into the franchise, that it mixed it up a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, so maybe, you know, they're gonna lead into that.
Maybe
and
it's
then,
a court drama.
Maybe like they're really gonna play up the court angle, yeah.
Sure.
And even watching the movie, it made me think that, because the very best line of the entire movie is spoken by Ed Warren, Patrick Wilson's character, like half an hour into the movie. The line that he makes about, the court agrees that God is real every time someone, swears to tell the truth. That line is great. And I wanted them to launch off of that into the whole movie.
Well, and they lie to you in the promotional material because it makes it seem like he's on the stand.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And spoiler alert, he's not. He's just being like, you have to use the demon defense.
Yep.
And she's like, I'm not going to do that.
That is a great cutaway when the joke there is actually really funny, I think.
Yeah,
After they convince the lawyer.
No,
she's
it
like,
was a good moment.
Yeah. Alan?
Yeah.
So the thing too with the other movies is they kind of play with times.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't even really be outside of the realm of this franchise's style to have like, here's what's going on, and then kind of flashback to this is the events as they occurred. You know, that's really, I mean, it's kind of tropey in a way, but
the whole movie is
exactly.
tropey.
Oh, I mean, I said that to you guys in our chat. I was like, there's a whole lot of tropes going on when I was watching the first Conjuring. So I think not only is that a more interesting movie, I think I would have been more interested just
for sure
sitting and watching. So I watched this at home via the power of HBO Max, and it took. I didn't take nearly as many notes on this movie as I did in any of the other movies we've watched because it was kind of boring. There wasn't much eventful things to really go over. It just kind of existed. I guess the one thing I would say is the pacing was seemingly faster compared to the other movies. Like this movie flies.
Yeah.
There's just things going. It's the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, which I enjoyed to some degree, but it didn't really do much with the
sure.
faster pacing. That didn't really
Yeah.
add to the experience in any
I was
good,
gonna
conceivable way.
say the same thing because I sat there. I'm like, I agree with Alan. It was really boring, but like at one point I had to pause the movie to go do stuff, and it was like already an hour and 11 minutes in. I'm just like, what the heck? Like it felt so boring, but somehow wasn't slow. So like the pacing was, pretty fast, but it just nothing really like interesting happened, I guess, or surprising. It was kind of just like, all right, cool, we're going through this.
I
Well,
think that's the problem with these movies, just as a whole, though, right? Like, I was not a big fan. I've only seen the Conjuring mainline movies, so I'm not a fan of the Conjuring extended
Extended
universe.
universe.
Uh, I only watched those first two movies this week in preparation for this third one. And the weird kind of like monotony is not the right word because the other two movies do it better, but like the tropiness specifically, like I feel like I get kind of stuck with because like a lot of it was like in all of these movies, it feels like kind of eye rolly, and this one especially, it feels there's a lot of eye rolly little
yeah.
tropes. But like,
Melodramatic dialogue
yes,
was so common, especially in like the first half of the movie. It's
but
like
like I don't know what was inspired by like James
So
Wan being inspired by other horror films and what is actually like of the Warrens account, which
right, I
obviously I don't believe are necessarily super trustworthy, considering I am a doubter of these things. But
so I mean I first of all I want to comment on that. Like I do think that the you mentioned James Wan. Like I think him not being the director is really
oh, that's right, he
is
wasn't in this
really
one.
felt.
I agree.
This was his first one of the three that he didn't direct, and I think that the overall loss of quality and at times plot cohesion is absolutely because he wasn't there. I think that you can make a lot of arguments about the first two and what their level of actual quality is. I think that they're good popcorn horror.
Sure.
And I think that he knew exactly what he wanted to make, and then he did it basically.
Yeah.
Whereas
I'll,
this movie's a little this movie meanders. That's the issue.
yes.
Like I understand that you guys say that you think the pacing was fast. I think that this movie is all over the place. It's
Yeah.
there's so many little elements and everything is very very thin. And
For sure.
they even squander, the reality of the case. So like Bobby, the reality of the case. Bobby mentioned it, I don't know what's based on their account and what isn't. And basically, after Arnie Johnson goes to jail, everything from there onward is made just up for the movie. Which means the entire villain of the movie was made up for the movie rather than being based on accounts that we already had, which I find interesting because like we had a perfectly good villain if you wanted to just base the movie on the Warrens accounts, and
Yeah.
it also, if you did that, would have changed the entire structure of the film.
So-
I think for the better in a huge way.
Yeah.
two questions for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Were the first two movies more set up, structured to their accounts without interference? Okay, cool. Second follow up, I did not look into the third movie's like the Warrens account. So
Sure.
what is that other
So-
option? What's the better movie we could have had?
So I think that the better movie that we could have had. First of all, I like opening the movie with the exorcism of David. I think it's like a little bombastic opening, sets the stage.
Yeah.
It's fine.
The
Yeah.
the issue with that is that in the case of Arnie Johnson, the exorcism of David is actually a huge part of it, and so you're already throwing away like a big part of the story immediately. And they attempt to fill this in later on with the flashbacks, which I just don't think are really interesting at that point when they do it. And it felt like they were clearly trying to fill that in to get a couple more jump scares because the current story just wouldn't have allowed for jump scares. So I think that you would have wanted to have, a longer tail on the David portion. And then there's also a lot more that Arnie Johnson and the Warrens and them have talked about that happened between that exorcism and the murder. And so you have a longer chunk of time that you could have spent on the possession of Arnie Johnson, given us more of a reason to believe that he was actually possessed. The movie tells you kind of a lot that, he was possessed. And then after the murder, they do a lot about showing you that he was still possessed. But there really isn't a lot of time spent on his first initial possession, which I think is the important part.
Right. Yeah. 'Cause don't they they point that out in 1 or 2? Like, there's a whole 4-step process.
Exactly.
That
And they skip past that.
Yeah.
Right. And I
because
think
he was cursed, guys.
Yeah,
Let's just be clear. He was cursed.
Right.
Okay.
That's how they saved it. They were he was cursed.
Exactly.
It's not a possession. He was
It's
cursed. That's
stupid.
how
I'm
all this
sorry.
stuff can happen.
The whole witchcraft angle was just so oddly utilized.
Well, because I don't
Yeah.
know, it's weird. It was weird satanic panic bullshit. Again, which is I know that's the Warrens' whole shtick. They were big satanic panic.
I think if you're gonna do that in a movie, I think that there's an element of satanic panic that is integral to certain subgenres of horror, right?
Sure.
I understand that. I like it. It's fine. But I think that you have to go in on it. You have to go in on it, and they just don't.
Well,
Right.
and I actually didn't know James Wan didn't direct this, probably because I wasn't paying attention to the opening credit scene, because I was too busy getting my bunch of crunch into my popcorn.
Yeah,
yeah,
we saw it in the theater, just so if that impacts anybody's opinion on anything.
Today on day of recording.
Yep.
But no, but it makes sense now because there's a couple different fake out jump scares that James Wan is known for. Every jump scare he throws in is a legitimate scare. There's imagery that gets scary with it. He's not known for faking it, right? Doing fake outs.
Even the fake outs have something there still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one that really sticks out to mind is when Lorraine is she's I am the two girls who obviously probably did not exist.
No, I don't think so.
They're completely fake, or of a case that was completely unrelated that they threw in there. But she the first time she goes in, there's the hand and it goes back behind the bark, and then the two girls ha ha ha, we're friends, we're adult friends, frolicking around the forest for
just
some
best
reason.
friends, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was weird, very, very heavy sexual subtext there, that they were actually gay, and I was waiting for them to be for the Warrens to be homophobic, because you could just. They try to skirt it, but there's no way a couple that religious in the 1970s isn't super homophobic. So it was kind of, I don't know. It was kind of weird. There was just a lot, like you said. This movie's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
And like you said, it's just done wrong. It's just done out of order.
I feel if we wanted to get more into the whole possession of David, all of those flashback scenes could have just been the beginning of the movie, and have it lead up to the middle point be the exorcism, it jumping into Arnie, and then the rest is how Arnie is dealing with it, instead of it going through the David exorcism and then flashing back to all these. We don't need those flashbacks. I'd rather have that as information we already know what happened, because it's not it's oh, that's what happened. We know that he was.
But you're missing out. That witch lady is going to be a whole thing. That's going to be the next the nun and Annabelle. So. Oh my god, yeah, dude. They had a whole life for her, and that she studied witchcraft and she did this and they threw her whole backstory in there. They did the same thing for Annabelle. They did the same thing for Valak.
Yeah, but those are. I guess the difference is that
Annabelle's
those were
done.
Demons.
But Annabelle is done. And Valak got returned to hell or whatever. They show the ending to their story first with the Warrens, and then they go back and flesh out but that's how this whole extended universe is. That's why they put her
I definitely think that we're gonna get another set of movies about her.
Yeah.
I guess when I said no, I don't think that The Conjuring 4 is gonna involve her. But
no.
Yeah, I do.
It's gonna be some other dumb shit.
Yeah, but yes, I do expect to get 1 or 2 movies about her growing up, and it's going to be her casting curses on some other people. Yeah.
That was one of my main
Why wouldn't
issues
it
with the movie, though, is that it was like this witch and it was a curse, right? It kind of betrayed everything prior, I guess, in terms of like, possessions and all that. Where I
Yeah,
kind of sat here and I was just like, I'm not that scared of this. Like, yeah, witchcraft exists, like Salem witch trials, all this stuff. Like, I mean, like in terms of like in media,
Okay.
witchcraft has
Okay.
existed.
I was like, what do you
And
mean witchcraft
I
exists?
feel like it lost a lot of the fear factor for me when everything was explainable by like witchcraft instead of it being possession to me.
I don't know that it necessarily loses anything there, but it's just a lot lamer, I would say. And also,
Okay,
like with the priest, we haven't necessarily talked on the
Which
father of the
Yeah, which
father
one?
of the
Okay.
of the witch lady.
Sure.
the
So
really
when they
cool,
finally,
creepy guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
when they go down to his little creepy demon dungeon, witchcraft dungeon, I guess technically,
I think it's a
Did
Satanism dungeon. Thank you.
Satanism dungeon, whatever, the clan of the ram or whatever the fuck they were called.
That's what they're called.
Yeah.
But like, did anybody else when the Warrens were like, "You should burn this"? It's like, bitch, you have a whole fucking room full of demon shit.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That was the thing that bothered me. Is like there
That
was a
their
cool
stuff.
there was a cool moment for
Oh.
parallel there that they didn't like.
Yeah, they could like almost bond over like
That adds
hold
like I
on to weird shit
yeah
from
I have
from
I have a few
demonic
trophies
satanic
of
things.
my
Yeah.
own, father. Like
Yeah.
that type like, but they did but like I don't know.
It's because they wanted to play up.
Satanism
The reason-
bad.
They wanted to play up this. They needed to elevate this villain in some way without doing any of the work. And part of that is by implying that the things that they do are worse than things that the Warrens have encountered in the past. And that was part of that implication. It's like, yeah, we've got this stuff. It's demonic, but you've got this stuff. That's way worse.
Well,
I don't
I
think it works. I don't think it works.
No, but
The movie is
I will
just
say
the encapsulation of unearned. Whereas the other movies, you could even necessarily say the other movies don't necessarily earn a ton, but the scare factor and the villains definitely feel better in the first two installments by
And
I would say
the
fairly
heroes.
large amounts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
okay, but I want to say this. I think that's a large issue with all of the Conjuring movies.
Sure.
I will say I thought this movie, the witch thing, did not bother me much. Because it felt like they finally just decided what this movie was, and like this series is just like it's barely even horror movies. At least the mainline ones are. I don't know, like just like borderline action movies. They're just trying to be the Marvel of horror. Like they've been trying to do it that for a while, but that's what this movie really felt like. Was just like, look, we've even thrown some gags in there. Like in like a movie, in like the last two movies were deadly serious. One of my biggest issues.
I actually
with
liked the tonal change. I'll say, like,
that's what I'm saying. I
yeah.
was cool with it. I was cool with it.
There are definitely
with the
aspects
villain
that-
being
yeah.
like folky and like stupid and like just like doesn't make sense. That was fine. The ha 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 moments were cool. I said that like I felt like the other two movies kind of needed them at some point, so like I was fine with that because they were trying to be that, but James Wan wants to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, the first two movies, like they dissipated the tension by focusing. I feel like by focusing on like the romance between Ed and Lorraine, like trying to show them
Yes.
as like a real couple, which I actually really like. And then this movie, besides the one like almost hokey feeling flashback scene of them, they don't really focus on that too much, and instead it just has like jokes. Which I was totally okay with. I was like, okay.
But I will say the thing I hate most about all three of these movies is just how like they just play up Ed and Lorraine like they're just the greatest human beings in the world. And like
they're superheroes basically.
Yeah, which like is
They're church superheroes.
which is still it feels ugly to me. That feels ugly to me because like if this is real, fine. Like if the paranormal, I am open minded to it. It's not something I necessarily am like super big believer on, but I'm open minded to it, and I find this stuff interesting. But like, there's just no way. There's just like no way that they were like these like puritanical like Like, I don't believe that in people. And like the fact that like they just go, nope, it's real, and they're the good guys, and they're doing all the good guy stuff, and they don't leave any ambiguity, especially in this movie where a literal human being was murdered by somebody else, and they play the murder victim off as a scumbag, and they played like the guy who did the murder as like, he's just a good old American boy who would just happen to be possessed by Satan, and he only did it to save another good old-fashioned American boy. Like, it just icky. It's just icky.
Yeah.
I think they did it well though, like to the point that like I felt bad for Arnie, and like the vet clinic owner, I was kind of like, oh man, that sucks, but like it wasn't like
You
it was
should
a
feel bad
scumbag.
for him.
But like
You
even
he's a
even
dead
in
person.
even in the movie, the landlord is not actually shown to be a scumbag at all. All of
No.
the visions, they're all shown to be like visions of the possession. So like,
Yeah.
I think you're never really supposed to feel like the murder is earned or is viable,
Right.
which of
Well,
course
they do a bad job of it.
which
then.
of course I think is why they cut out the part of the trial where they talk
where they
mention
talk
that-
about the murder.
where they talk about the murder and that the defense actually argued self-defense and that's why he got off on manslaughter. I do think that those visions that Arnie has right before he kills him are maybe interwoven too tightly, because it doesn't really give you the chance to realize that that guy is not actually doing those things. That it really was just
Yeah,
he
the
was just
moment
killing that guy.
breaths of reality are so like they're pretty
Yeah.
lightning quick. It's like,
No.
hey, look, they're not dancing, but then it's immediately back like a second later.
But that
pretty
wasn't
fast.
even the part. Like, everything beforehand, where he's just like this sweaty dude's like, I pay you to do this thing. She's like, it's the weekend, guy.
I guess that's true. I didn't
Like,
think
he just kind of
anything of that.
He just kind of
personally.
seems like just like a scummy like dude, like scummy slumlord, right? Like.
I guess
they-
I thought
and
it
they-
was played humorously. You know what I mean? Like
It
if that exact
it was for a second,
sequence-
like everybody seemed happy, like at
Right.
the right before the murder, and it was like, okay, so maybe like, but like it felt like too little, too late at that point, and like the fact of how much they were playing like Arnie up to be like this, and like in comparison with like the second movie with the girl, like because you're seeing all the paranormal stuff happen, so it's real. But even the Warrens are like, I don't know, it might be fake. We don't know. Like, that was the most compelling part of all three movies. Was like it's happening, and you're almost like voyeuristically behind the screen, being like, but it's real. But we know it's real. We see it. We know it's happening. Like, and you don't. In this one, it's very much that's just gone, and it's just
I think part of the reason why that is gone is because they cut out all of the backstory and they jump right to the part where they just dump that on the lawyers and then ditch, by the way, which is what happens. Like they just make that quick point and then they're like, okay, we're gonna go write a book now. And I think that
great godly people, by the way, great godly people, leaving someone just to die.
All of the moments for ambiguity are basically cut out of the movie, and like they had to get quickly to the witch's curse, and the movie is moving so blindingly fast that you have to just jump forward with the Warrens believe it's true immediately, because otherwise we're never going to have enough time to get to these subplots. And I think that's why you lose like that humanity of the story, you know what I mean? That's just not there in this one, I think.
Right.
Which again, I wasn't a fan of any of these movies, but this one, like, just to that point, like, it just missed that, like, in a huge way.
I am a fan of this franchise, for the record.
That's fair.
If it's not obvious, or to anybody that's listening, like, I like them all. Obviously, some more than others, for various reasons. But I am a fan.
I like the scenes. Like some of the scenes were really like well done. I thought the waterbed scene was really cool, really creepy.
Yeah, that's good imagery.
I thought that Arnie's first like illusion where he does kill the landlord with like the red light and everything else following The demon landlord dude was really creepy, and him showing up in the prison while, like, low lighting, candlelit lighting, when it flashes to Arnie and he's behind him, that's creepy, right? But, like, nothing really, like, made me jump and go, oh shit. Like, even with the hand popping out of the waterbed, like, I saw that coming from a mile away.
I mean, the moment you
It-
see the waterbed, you go, all right, well, I know what's going to happen here. Like, it's
Yeah.
such a, it's, I literally have written down, oh, great, a waterbed. Like,
I
it's just
like the
so,
witch.
of course.
The curse. The curse is not a possession. What is the curse that is being applied to this family?
Okay, the curse is a possession. It's just
Okay.
the curse is how the possession happens. Like,
Yeah.
basically, what they're just saying is that instead of a possession happening for any myriad of other reasons that could have happened, the reason why it happened is because the witch cast a curse on them, and she summoned the demon to them. That's the curse.
And
So
didn't they
is she summoning
say,
the demon every time when she does that, or is the demon like dormant inside the person and then using like the goblet and everything like revives the demon and it does what it
He's
needs?
feeding the demon's souls of the people
Right,
that
and
that
she needs
gets
to get
possessed by.
those 3 stages completed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's why.
For-
So each time she puts the totem out, it like summons the demon into that
So
area.
so
basically,
so Grant, what basically happens is creates totem, feeds demon souls, question mark, profit.
creates totem.
Look, you gotta destroy all of the totems. Come on, we've all played
I-
Dead by Daylight. We know this.
I haven't.
Very, very good. I will say though, I liked the witch as a character.
I did too.
I
I think
thought
that
she
there
was-
was
I-
more that they could have done with her. Like I
I
didn't
thought- well,
I didn't
I
dislike
thought-
that angle. Like I just wanted more.
I legitimately thought they were going to turn her into like that, like the Warren was going to like fucking like Ed was going to break the altar, and then she was just going to be gone, and then she'd be like the Thanos of the Conjuring universe for the next 4 movies, because they played her up like the door goes both ways for her, so her and Lorraine
She's
are
like
like
the
going to have an ultimate confrontation,
Yep.
and then it just didn't happen, and that felt wasted.
I
But like because the character was cool, and again, I'm sure her prequel movies will be just fine.
Yeah.
if the movie ended with the table being destroyed, and then you just
Yeah.
didn't see her again, I would have been totally satisfied. I would have been
Yeah.
just as satisfied as I actually was.
Or probably more satisfied, in all honesty.
So, what with the exorcism of David, right? Lorraine has that vision of her using the goblet, and that's when David turns into the like demon again. And everybody knows what happens that's listening to this review. Ed gets knocked unconscious, wakes up in a hospital bed. It's like they got him. It has the boy, and oh, no, that's the wrong boy. No, Arnie. But like Lorraine just leaves out the fact to her husband that knows her and knows that she has like this connection to the other side. Oh yeah, hey, by the way, I saw this weird shit with a goblet. Like she doesn't bring that up until like halfway through the movie when it's relevant. I'm kind of like, shouldn't you tell your husband that you saw this?
yeah,
it didn't seem relevant at the time.
yeah. I mean, to be
guess
fair,
so.
She
if
didn't
this
know
was-
what she saw.
If this was
I think
real
it was
life,
very-
he wouldn't have woken up and said, "They've got the boy." Like
That's
he would have
true.
been much clearer than that if this was real life. Like
Yeah.
this movie is riddled with movie dialogue that like just doesn't work. And I think
In
that
the end, true love conquers all.
that's right.
He was able to break the curse because he just loved Lorraine so much.
Yep. Well, and that and
Remember
his
the
ability
gazebo.
to, you know,
Remember Ocean Master. The gazebo.
Alan, what were you gonna say?
it's not just the power of love; it's the power with which to drive a sledgehammer into a solid, I don't know, 6 inches of stone and just destroy the hell out of it. I mean,
Look,
how
Lorraine
jacked
loosened it
is
up.
Ed?
Dude, he's
Well,
king.
okay,
he's
sure.
King Orin. He could do whatever he wants.
I was
He's
about to say he smashed someone's skull in the tall grass, dude.
I love that his heart condition only manifests at the most convenient times for him. He's just
I was
like, "Oh,
waiting for that to happen
I
while he's
forgot
like
what
hunting
it
her
is."
down, and then nothing.
Yeah, well, I was like, that's how it's good. That's how she's not gonna kill him. He's just gonna have a fucking grab her, and that's
Right.
just gonna be like.
That's what I thought too. And I was like, oh, this will be
I was
like funny and a callback, and then
Yeah.
this just doesn't happen.
And then he's like, I forgot my pills, and she just has one in his life. It's just like,
in the locket. Yeah,
Okay,
that was supposed to be like a.
I did
"Aw."
like that though. I thought it was cute. I was fine
Maggie
with that.
turned to
Yeah,
me
exactly.
and was like, so I take a pill with dinner, and Maggie turned to me and she's like, "Would you like it if I did that?" And I was like, "No."
Old
What do you,
man
what do you want
alert.
from me? All
Old
right.
man alert.
I'm fucking sorry that I used to be
take a
fat and
pill
had
with
indigestion.
dinner.
All right.
I
Fuck you.
take a pill with dinner.
Corbin's dying over here.
Oh man,
Jeez.
I would consider not bringing that up next time.
It's already out there into the ether. I mean,
Good lord.
Man, I thought that there was
Gotta go watch
actually
the programs.
there was an opportunity where, like, you know, you have creepy priest that's a good guy, like a real good guy, and she invites him over to go into his witchcraft Satanist basement, and I'm like, man, he left the church for a while. Maybe he like went into witchcraft and like now he's part of this. He's helping out his daughter, and that'd be like a unique kind of little connection. But instead, he's just a good guy. He pulls out a gun, but she had a knife, and this was the one time that bringing a knife to a gunfight works out.
Yeah.
in witchcraft, though, she appeared behind him. Like, what do
It's
you
true.
do?
okay.
She literally teleported.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was hoping they were gonna do a cooler thing with that. This was my thought during this. Like, it was like, oh, like she's gonna like use her witchcraft to like make her look like the priest. Like the priest has been dead the whole time, and so she's been like pulling the strings as the priest.
Especially
Like-
when he's like, it's probably right downstairs.
Yeah,
Like that's the perfect time to reveal yourself as the
like
witch.
he closed the door and she just like pulls off the face and it's like
Yeah,
gross.
the Mission Impossible
Like,
face.
it's like, but it's like gory and shit. Like,
You're
it's
right.
like
Yeah, she also like the priest. He locked the door behind him. I like at that moment, my brain was set on this dude's evil. There's no way that he's not, because
Yeah.
like they make it so important that he locks the door behind her.
What a
well,
false
he did
telegraph.
have he did have a child
Right.
out of wedlock, which as we all know, is the epitome of evil.
It's true.
Dude,
It's
okay. Okay, listen. This is the Warrens cinematic universe. Anything that is not hashtag Christ appropriate, it's evil.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got me there.
Sorry,
Um,
Grant, you're going to hell, bud.
Yeah, whatever.
Didn't realize that joke was affecting you until I looked at your face.
Until you were too deep, and at that point,
I was too deep.
you gotta
Oh
go.
man.
Jeez. But yeah, I felt like there were a lot of moments where like they emphasized something and then just like let it die. I was kind of like, I feel like that should have been a lot more important than it was.
Is that a thing, or are we just? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so like for what it's worth, this would not be an issue in a different genre of film. Like this movie could I feel like there's a certain level of deference that is played in horror films that are taking themselves this seriously thus far. Like that you can't get away with it in the same way. Or like the fact that like all three of these movies take themselves really seriously, and this one has a tone shift that I almost forgive more in this movie than I did in the last two, because of that
Because
tone
of the
shift.
tonal shift. Yeah.
Because of the tonal shift, like so, I came out of this thinking this might be the best one because I didn't take it as like this, in spite of like the most like. I still think like trying to pin a dude who like killed somebody as a like figure that is like a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm all for restorative justice. Like, you know, Arnie, whatever his last name is. I hope he learned something and lived a very long and is continuing to live a very long and prosperous life, not murdering anybody anymore. But like he still took a life, like from somebody, and like got the manslaughter charge, which means he didn't mean to kill that guy going in, but he still fucking killed the guy, and he was negligent. Like he went too far, right? According to the letter of the law, right? Like that's like the one big issue. Other than that, like this movie is all over the place. It's weird, but like it doesn't take itself as seriously. So you're almost like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like they do like there's these little gags throughout where like it almost gives you a little, like it is very much a Disney Marvel's cinematic universe of
It
like
is.
horror.
And some
Like-
of the side movies do kind of go down that route as well.
Okay.
And I know you haven't seen any of the other ones, but like The Nun, for example, which I like a lot,
So do I.
is commonly put on like the bottom of the quality lists for this franchise, and it's because the movie is so self-aware and hokey, but it makes it for me.
No, what is this
yeah.
meant to be at this point? Like the first one, if it was by itself, sure. The
Yeah.
second one, maybe, because the second one's actually half good. Like it wasn't scary, but like it was more compelling. But like at this point, what there's like 12, 14 movies in this series at this point. Like what are we supposed to? There's like 4 Annabelle movies.
There's
There's
8
two
or
the nuns.
9, just one nun, and then La Llorona. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8,
Okay, 8, 9 movies, yeah.
8 or 9. Yeah,
Over the course of
Yeah.
like what? When
eight,
did the
eight
first one come
years.
out?
8 years.
Wow, they've
So every year,
out.
so every year, there's
every
been
year
a-
you get one.
So like, what are you like? It's like the later Saws were just bad because of a million reasons, and like
James Wan left that franchise too.
yeah. Well, yeah. So either
I didn't
so
realize
either
that was the same director.
Yep,
No
yep.
shit.
So either you figure it out and you go with a route that you can't do with James Wan style because you just can't, or you keep trying and see what happens when a committee makes it. Because this movie screams movie by committee because it's so all over the place.
Yeah.
Like this would be like because if it had a vision, you're absolutely right. It would have started with the Daniel possession, gone through that, had a fake and like kind of slow burn that for a while, and then had the ramp up with Arnie, and like even have it be like end with Arnie killing, getting arrested, making that towards the end of the film, and having it be like, here it is, and then have it be,
Right.
have it almost be a dark ending, right? Where like
For sure.
we know that he was possessed by the devil, but it doesn't matter. Like
Right.
that could have been a cool
And
little.
I feel
I would have been
like
fine with that.
Yeah.
That's where like the restraints of using a true story kind of like rear its head, and by what I mean by that is I did not know, like, besides the fact that it said this was a true story, like I didn't know anything about the story, right, until I looked it up after, and I sat there and I was just like, he pleads, oh, a demon possessed me. I'm like, man, if we realize, oh my god, like this actually happened, and then he gets sentenced to death, like that would suck, but it would be, I think, a better movie because
Yeah.
us as an audience, we all sit there going, like, this wasn't him, but he's gone, like
Yeah.
he died, and I don't know. To me, I feel like that would have been a better thing than just, oh yeah, hey, by the way, he was sentenced to 10, 20 years, only had to serve 5 because he was an exemplary inmate, and
Yeah.
now he's out again. I don't know.
I
feel
also
like
I also think that it was, this many movies in, it's probably time for the good guys to take a loss,
Yeah.
to lose.
Mhm.
And especially like, this isn't the last one. They're going to keep making them. So like you have the opportunity for them to redeem themselves later. Even if you only keep working chronologically along their real life cases, you've got like 3 or 4 more big ones after this. So like
You can bounce back to
could've-
Amityville.
I think they can and they should. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. But like they could have done that, right? Ended the big finale or the climax, right, being the first exorcism, and then kind of rush through it and then end on a loss, right? I think that would have been more powerful. But then it also would have been just even that much more serious than the movie, and I think that they have maybe decided not to go down that route anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, one last thing, I guess,
Yeah.
was this movie scary for us? I know it wasn't for me.
No.
I have a
don't
feeling
think
it probably wasn't for Corbin.
No.
Because me and Corbin were sitting right next to each other, and despite some mild shuffling of our seats, and like there was one point where I really had to pee, and so I was just like sitting like this, like just sitting like at the edge of my seat because I was like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta wait for the credits to start rolling, and I gotta go. None, and that's the issue. None of these movies were particularly scary for me, and this
Yeah.
one was probably the least scary.
I
It had
agree
like
that it was the least
had the
scary.
least interesting imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And,
it had
and I
like
think that they threw away some good imagery from the the real life accounts. Like
Yeah.
if you read through some of the descriptions that they make or some of the other parts of the possession, it's like, oh, that could have been a really cool scene. Like where was that?
Yeah.
I think that there was squandered opportunity at the scares, and I think that the scares that we got were average at best. They just weren't anything super interesting.
Right.
When I go into one of these movies,
Batman.
I want dread.
Fat zombie though.
Big fat zombie man.
Jesus Christ. Like, I want to feel unsettled.
Should be
That's
ominous.
kind of- yeah, like it's one of those movies. It's a movie where the better version of this movie sits with you, and you think about it, and you go, oof, and it kind of makes you tense up a little bit.
But
The
none of these
better
movies really
version of it. No, none of them are. But like this one's especially so. Not that. Like that was one of the most pedestrian horror experiences I think that's out there. I mean,
Pedestrian, okay.
like
I wouldn't say that's out there, but I would say out of the 3 horror movies I've seen in the theaters in the last month, this was the least scary, probably.
even less scary than Saw Spiral.
Well, I guess maybe not, but that movie's not really even trying to be scary.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a Saw movie in years.
It looks like
There
it's
hasn't
trying
been
to
a
be
Saw
7,
movie in years.
actually.
It definitely is trying to be 7.
So it's harkening back to the first Saw movie, but probably not great.
So
I don't know.
it's,
We'll probably
it's
Right.
a
we'll
lot
talk
like
about it
7,
sometime.
but not as scary as 7.
Okay.
Yeah, we probably will.
I don't think it was scary either. I mean, I feel like even the scares that like were supposed to get you, like weren't like getting me. I thought they were
Yeah.
cool, right? It's not like I sat there and was like, "That's dumb." Like I was like, "Okay, that's cool," but like I didn't get scared. And I think that sometimes they like built tension and just let it dissipate without doing anything about it.
Okay.
And specifically like the hole in the wall with like all the rats and everything that Arnie went to, like that hole in the wall, he's looking further into it and further into it, and then just
They did something with that though,
Nothing?
because they had the pop right after that.
Yeah.
guess, but I just
They
to me,
did-
Not
They did the
saying
wrong thing.
it was a good move, but that is what they did with that.
I felt like they misused tension then.
I agree
like,
with that for sure.
They,
Yes.
they built it up and then like would do something that like you weren't expecting, trying to get you, but you sat there like, why would you do that?
Yeah, and Bobby kind of mentioned that earlier with like the fake out scares, like
Yeah.
with the hand around the thing. Like, I
Yeah.
think that there's actually more of the scares of this movie are fake out in that way than real scares. Like too many
For sure.
times they go, you thought, rather than actually doing a thing. And then when they actually do a thing, a lot of the times like it's not even scary. Like when a lot of hand grabbing scenes. I just
Yes.
realized hand
Yeah.
grabs Lorraine, hand comes out of the the waterbed, hand over the shower curtain.
I want
Who's
to
that
talk
hand
about that
attached
shower
to?
curtain scene.
Yeah.
A lot of these movies feel like they're PG-13.
I actually thought this was PG-13. I was surprised
Sorry,
to learn
wasn't?
that this one is rated R. They all are, but I was surprised that this one was because nothing
What did it
happens.
do to get an R rating?
She
Like,
got shot
scary.
one guy's throat. I think that was it. Scary images. It
proof.
gets rated R for.
Yeah, but I don't know. This movie, it's not scary, but it's also not for me. I know when I want to watch a horror movie, there are 2 types of horror movies I like. I want movies that are either loaded with camp, loaded with like over the top stuff, I want like the good. Like I either want fast food or fine dining. This is very much.
This is like the Chipotle of horror.
It's an
movies.
Applebee's.
So
It's an Applebee's. It's like a good 2.5 star. You can go anywhere in the world and you can get yourself some Applebee's.
You
That's
can
the
go in
Conjuring
on
is.
Thursdays and get those $1 Long Islands that are garbage, but then you
They're
also
$1.
know it's $1, and so you can drink like 5 of them and get us a buzz as if you had like 2 real ones.
But there's nothing
it's so worth
wrong
it.
with Applebee's. It's just when it comes to horror, I don't want Applebee's.
Yeah,
Like it's
I'm
just
with
not
you
for me.
100%. And I don't even necessarily want like the Trolls 2 is my example of the like the just the garbage but great. That's not ever what I want in horror. Like for me, when I think of horror, I always want the
Trolls
dread.
2 is something very different.
Sure. That was kind of what I thought you were going for there.
No.
That's its own tier.
I'm talking like later, like Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Gotcha.
I'm talking like
Any Friday the
Slumber
13th
Party
movie
Massacre.
He's talking about
like,
Jason Takes Manhattan, not
I,
Jason Goes to Hell.
I am talking about Jason Takes Manhattan and Jason X. Right,
Oh,
even
so
though
good.
I don't like any of the. No, actually, you know what I'm actually talking about is Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, that's fair.
Possibly the best Friday the 13th film. We'll get into it one week. But you were saying
I would
something,
disagree with that. Yeah.
But I want those horror movies. Anytime I watch one that is gonna is just gonna make me not like feel good. Like I don't ever want anything that's just boring, because that to me there's just so many other options for you. Like it feels like a waste of doing a horror movie if I don't come out of it going "Eek," like, because other genres can't affect you in the way that horror does. There's so much potential there in that specific lane that when you don't actually live up to that potential, it's just why bother? Why choose to make them a horror movie if you're not gonna actually like go down that lane? I've said for years, why are any horror movies PG-13? Every time I've watched a trailer and I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this, and then I see PG-13 pop up, I'm like, all right, never mind. I could give a shit less, because you're immediately limiting yourself in a way that I think is detrimental to the type of movie you're creating. Go hard R with horror, because
Sure.
what are you losing? What are you losing by really going into that field? And what are you gaining by PG-13? Money. That's the answer. I know.
I know that this isn't what Alan's saying, but what I'm really hearing is that he is a huge body horror fan and doesn't know it.
Oh, probably. I mean, I do really enjoy the first three Saw movies. Like, genuinely love those first three
I
Saw
have
movies.
a feeling.
Gore.
I have
That's
a feeling.
body horror.
Yeah, body horror is
Gore and
something
body
else.
horror.
And we're gonna get there, and I think actually,
Well, like-
Possessor had a lot of body horror elements, and we
I
watched that
did
together.
really
I'm a
love
big
Possessor.
body horror fan.
Yeah,
Was
I-
like
it
The Fly
makes me
kind
very-
of get
yeah,
into
The
that?
Fly
line?
is a
Fly
great
is-
example of body horror.
Anything
Cronenberg.
by Cronenberg is
Alan-
body horror.
Brought something up, and I agree with him, and I kind of want to throw my own little take on it. And what
Yeah.
he said was like, horror has a unique opportunity to make you go like, ee, right? Like that's what he said exactly. And I feel like paranormal horror, especially, right? Like paranormal
If somebody wants
horror should, like, the good paranormal horror makes you afraid of your own house in the dark, right? In my opinion, like you sit there and you'll see a dark room that you've never cared about before, that you know nothing's in there, but you like after watching a horror movie that's paranormal, you sit there like, oh shit, like, right? And I feel like I was able to, after the Conjuring 3, just walk through my house like nothing ever happened and just be like, yep, okay.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, and the only other thing that I wanted to say was, I think it was Ashley that said this, because I was just like, I watched The Conjuring 3, and like, I know your mom really likes it because her mom loves the Conjuring series. I'm like, but I just didn't like it. And then she was like, well, it's popcorn horror. Huh? And she's like, yeah, it's like something that you can throw on the TV when you want to watch horror, but like you don't really care if you pay attention or not. And I sat there and went, that's pretty accurate about this movie, in my opinion. Like, I'll throw it on, but like, if I want to get scared, I'm not watching this movie.
No. So the thing I want to say with the paranormal horror, us four are like, in a way, uniquely like susceptible to that type of thing. I know myself, I grew up Catholic, to get a little onto that side of things. Like, and if there's any sect of religion that is the most like, yup, this stuff's real, deal with it, it's the Catholics.
Yeah.
So like, it's you have an opportunity with paranormal horror, like really like deeply religious themed horror.
Sure.
There's a huge chunk of people that would flock and see that movie and just go, yep, it hits different for that group of people.
I mean, that's a big part of why I think The Conjuring is popular in the first place. You know, I think people
Probably.
underestimate how many horror fans, moviegoer fans, are a Christian of some variety or were, and that it informs, especially like mainstream moviegoers, like the stuff that they want to see. And I mean, the first movie also came out at a point where paranormal horror was at a high. We're still kind of riding like the ghost train that Paranormal Activity started, and I think that I think it just hit at the right place, the right movie at the right time, and now people are committed to it. You know, I mean, I think that's a big part of the franchise.
And I think we can kind of go into this. Yeah, it's whether or not this movie is essential. I think this is kind of like a natural what we're talking about with this.
Do we want to
agree,
give
yeah.
ratings before we go that route?
Oh, for sure. I think Bobby is more saying like this exact conversation can be pushed.
Oh,
forward.
I see. I get what you're saying.
But I do want to mention one final thing, and then we can hit in the ratings. Just finish that off. It's like it feels to me when we talk about the paranormal stuff, is like I am susceptible to that because I am, I grew up in a religious background. I'm still vaguely religious myself, and so like there are plenty of those paranormal movies that hit me. The problem is again how they play the Warrens as like perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I don't want to do the direct comparison, but there is a big difference between the Warrens as portrayed and like the Exorcists in The Exorcist, who are still heroes of the Catholic Church, but are still inherently flawed as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to make that comparison either, but that was the comparison I thought of. There's a reason why one's a popcorn flick and the other is one of the all-time greats of cinema.
And there's also a reason why, and this movie opens with an Exorcist homage that is so obvious that you'd have to be insane not to see it. Like
why? Yeah. Because the small child contorts. Is that what is that the?
No, the shots of the priest coming into the house.
Oh yeah.
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 Just literally, just like
the entire thing is an homage to the entire first scene is an homage to The Exorcist.
It absolutely is, and I think that it does a disservice in a way to the legacy of The Exorcist. But it was kind of nice to see. I was like, ooh. But yes, moving on. Bobby, you mentioned earlier that you feel The Conjuring 3 is equivalent to Applebee's, a 2.5-star restaurant.
Yes.
Would you agree that this is a 2.5-star movie?
This is a 2.5 spoops for me. Yeah. For like a hard 2.5. Like, I watched this movie, I ingested it, and now I never need to see it again. That is like there are movies that are like really bad that I'm like, I need to see that again, and there are movies that are really good that like I need to see that again. This is a movie that like I will forget that I watched these 3 movies. And then someone will be like, hey, you want to watch the Conjuring movies? And I'll be like, I think I saw those at one point. And then I'll watch it and be like, oh, yeah, I guess I saw those. And then 2 more years will pass. And someone will be like, you want to watch the Conjuring movies? I'll be like, I think I saw those at one point. So, yeah.
Fast forward 10 years and you've seen them like
10 times.
5 times. And you're just like, every time you're just
have
like.
I seen those?
Yeah. I don't think I liked it. I think I saw one. I didn't like it.
Something I want to lay the groundwork here for real quick. Actually, I didn't think about this. We rate movies on a scale of 0 to 5 with half points allowed. So like 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 5 out of 5 is the highest. I realized we gave Bobby a score without putting that out there, so it is a 2.5 out of 5.
Yes.
Yeah. Grant, let's hear from you.
Man, I have been battling with this, and I think I have to go lower than Bobby, which I think is actually a first for this. But I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
What's the first episode? So sure.
Right,
everything's a first.
There's always a first, but a 2 out of 5, right? Because I like 3 for me is I don't care. Like it wasn't great, it wasn't bad. I feel like this side's more on the side of like a bad but still watchable. Like I'll watch it. I know that I'm not gonna get scared. I think that the like misuse of like tension and like Bobby said, the horror, like the scare fake outs, and then just like putting emphasis on things that didn't need that kind of emphasis really bothered me. And I don't understand why they would do that. I think we kind of alluded to like it was like oh gotcha, but it's still scary, but it ended up just being like leaving me going, that sucked. Like it could have been better, but you ruined it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I would give it a 2.
Nice.
Alan.
So I kind of like Bobby watched Conjuring, Conjuring 2, and then 3 all back to back to back, and 3 was much more of a struggle to actually pay attention to. So I watched The Conjuring 1, I kind of had it up, and there were definitely times where I was very interested in what was happening in that movie. Conjuring 2, same thing. I was pretty interested in what was going on throughout that entire film for the most part. I had to think to myself many times while watching this one, you have to write some notes, pay attention, ignore your phone. Like I had to tell myself these things, and that to me is always a sign of just not a good time. If you're having to tell yourself, "Hey, don't look at your phone. I know you got a notification, but don't worry about that." Like that to me is immediately a red flag. So, I'm at that like 2 range as well, kind of slightly under average. I always think 2.5, 5 out of 10 if you want to kind of think in that way as an average. Like that's your average. I think it's definitely in the slightly under average experience. For reference, I would probably give both of the other two about a 3, slightly above, like enjoyable enough. I had fun with the first 2. Frankly.
Giving all 3 movies 2.5 out of 5.
That's honestly, I get that. You know, I understand where you're coming from with that, but like this one just doesn't earn anything, and a lot of that is because the plot is just like here. Like it doesn't spend enough time with the individual plot lines to give you a very satisfying kind of conclusion, almost like another recently released movie. And that's all I'll say. That's a foreshadowing many weeks from now.
Are you talking about a certain sequel?
I don't know what do you?
Yeah.
Yes,
I have
he's
no
talking
idea,
about
Gordon. No clue.
the spiral from. the
Oh
book of
yeah,
Saw.
yeah. That's the one I was talking about.
He
Yep.
wasn't, but could have been.
What about you, Corbin? What do you give it?
So I'm also gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5. I think that this movie is adequate, and I think that is pretty much exactly what a 2.5 out of 5 is for me. It's average. It's fine. I didn't hate my time with it, but similar to Bobby, I'm not going to be rewatching this one on its own. I think
Let's get some endless apps at TGIF. Am I right, pal?
that's right. Like,
Heck yeah.
you know, I like the Conjuring universe. Am I going to watch this movie again? 100%. There's a 100% chance that this movie is part of a marathon that I do many more times over the course of my life. But am I ever going to go, how about just the Conjuring 3 today? Like, that's never going to happen.
Oh, you're telling me you don't just wake up and go, man, that movie I thought was perfectly adequate sounds like a great thing to just watch today.
Yeah, there are better 2.5s that I would rather put on it.
You know what?
Oh.
The devil did make him do it. Let's watch that again.
Yeah, I mean,
They really didn't do much with that subtitle. I mean,
No.
I guess
The subtitle is because the subtitle is like a cultural reference because the Arnie Johnson case is known
Yeah.
as the Devil Made Me Do It
Devil Made Me
case.
Do It case.
That's why they did that. Yeah.
9 out of 20 total. So that's like slightly below average. So,
There-
or
there you
below
go.
half. So we're kind of there.
Yep.
Called it.
Man. All right, moving
Um,
on. We have a discussion here on whether or not the movie is essential.
A spoiler-free discussion.
A spoiler-free
I wanna-
discussion. That's right.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
How strictly are we defining essential? Like is this more of a per movie kind of discussion where we go, well, this is kind of our parameters? Like how are we going to set the essentialness?
Would this be on your list of movies that you would recommend somebody else to watch if they were trying to get into the horror genre?
Yes.
Okay.
If you exactly that.
So that's what this
if,
means.
Like if somebody asked you, like, oh, give me, a
Give me like
movie
5
from
horror movies.
or
Got it.
20 or 50 or a movie from 2021 or however you want to
If
do
you
it.
go on RottenTomatoes.com and look at their top 100 horror movies, right? Like
You won't find this movie.
you might find the first one though.
I think you would definitely find the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That movie is very well reviewed.
I know it is. And I feel so awful. Like I feel so awkward. Like shitting on it religiously because like
Religiously.
I feel very low. Yeah, I feel very alone. when I do that.
Anyway,
I
yes.
kinda
Is
wanna
this
open
movie
this.
essential?
Yeah,
I would love
go
it
for
if
it.
you opened it. I'd love
So
it.
Take it
I'm
away.
gonna open it, and I'm just gonna say no. Like, I do not think that it was essential, right? I don't even think it was really that essential to the Conjuring franchise if we wanted to, like, narrow it in. I think that it was just, that it wasn't scary, like, and like I said with the review, I was able to just walk away from it and say I don't care about it, and if I'm willing to say that, then it's definitely not essential in my book, right? We've reviewed other movies in our previous works that I've said are 100% are great, and I still recommend them to people to this day. But like this one, I would not recommend, and even to hardcore fans of the Conjuring franchise, I would not recommend it.
Wow.
Ashley's mom's not going to take that too kindly.
Yeah, seriously. Is she a listener? This is going to impact your relationship.
She hasn't seen the movie yet, so maybe she'll agree with me. She probably won't. I think she'll like it. But I do not think this is essential.
Okay.
Can I give a no but?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I
That
think
we
for
have a
me,
similar thought process here.
I think
it's
so
a
too.
no.
That's why I want it.
It's a no but for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time recommending this movie to almost anybody. That being said,
But not to nobody.
Yeah,
Yes.
show me your butt, dude. Show me your butt.
the but is, and Corbin knows because Corbin was in a group chat when this happened. I recommended this movie as something that my partner, my lovely partner Mallory, could get into. She's into a lot of horror adjacent stuff, and I feel like this movie is not scary enough for anybody who is willing to be scared, but scary enough for somebody who does not necessarily want to be into horror movies but wants to get over their fear of horror movie commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Because the commercials of this movie are way more
Better than the
scary than the film itself.
Yeah.
Like it's like, don't watch this movie, and it's just like I watch this movie, and I'm gonna be like fine tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
so like it's a definite no. It's not like it's not a movie that, but like I feel like there's enough of the popcorn aspect of it that a lot of early people, this could be a lot of people's like gateway into the genre.
Mm-hmm.
And so is it essential? I think that's for a larger discussion in the series, because again, I don't think this movie is necessarily, time will tell, right? Because there might be some really great Conjuring extended universe movies that take place around the witch that like make this essential to the series, but no, but maybe the Conjuring series as a whole has a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my no, but
I would agree.
and this is somebody who did not have fun at any of the movies that I watched this week.
I'm pretty much on that same page. Like, I feel like, is this movie essential? No. But I would recommend it to certain people. I think that if you were already a fan of the franchise, you'll probably like it well enough. It's got a lot of the Warrens in it. They're up to their usual Scooby-Doo hijinks. Like, it's fun. But if you are trying earnestly to get into horror, or if you're really looking for like the next good movie to watch, is this one that I'd be like, oh, you gotta watch Conjuring 3? No.
Not even a little bit.
But I do absolutely agree with Bobby that it's good, and I think the franchise as well, and we'll probably get into this more, but I think that there's arguments to be made much more strongly for other movies in the franchise, but this movie sits on its own well enough that if you know somebody who's into things like Supernatural or Buffy or like Sabrina on Netflix, like things like that are like a little spooky, or like Walking Dead, you know, they're like, oh, I want to be scared but not really, they'd probably like this movie, and that could be the gateway that you're not expecting.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I definitely think that there are like one-off recommendations here, but I would not put it on my essentials list.
No.
Alan.
I'm also no. It just we're gonna have to make it easy on all of us. But
if you said yes, we would have had to go all the way around.
And a lot
again.
of butts here, a lot of butts.
Well, that was the thing, is my butt has nothing to do with the rest of the universe. I could care less. But movie executives, this movie's essential. This is a money-making machine. And I would assume we're probably going to see roughly the same kind of thing occur with this movie. Because they're very digestible. You go in, you maybe got a little spooked. If you're that kind of audience, as we've been describing here, that is not... It's like the Weenie Hut Juniors of horror movies, really. Like that's
we're insulting all of you if you like this movie. If you like this movie, boo, you fans! Boo!
It's a lewd of horror.
It's no. Like again, This is not to like all jokes aside. I don't think we're making fun of anybody who likes these movies because
the movie by all means.
I did like the movie. Like
I didn't, but I understand why people would. I should say, like
when I say like the movie, I more so mean like enjoy the horror aspects. Like
sure.
As a I mean, it was again I gave it a 2, slightly under average. Like
decent.
It's a fun. It's not like you watch this movie and you go, there are actual problems with how this movie was created. It's not that like into the extreme of bad.
For sure.
It's just like it doesn't do much with its genre. I think that to me is the ultimate failing of like essential. Like if you want to be considered an essential horror movie, you need to actually use the horror genre to impact the audience. And if you don't do that, I don't think you could make the argument that you are essential. If I don't come out of your movie with like thoughts, like if I'm walking out of the movie more so concerned with what I'm going to do after the movie experience than going, ugh, that to me, it's hard to make the argument necessarily that movie was essential, because if I'm already done thinking about it, when I haven't even when I haven't even thrown my bag of popcorn away, did you really, hit your stride? No, Fair. I don't think so.
Grant?
I want to compare it to something, and I feel like it's an accurate explanation, right?
Is it Lights Out?
I want to say, no. I want to say it's like the light beer of horror movies. And by that, I mean, like, it's good. Like, no one's saying that light beer is bad, right? And it doesn't leave a strong aftertaste, so you can kind of just go about doing what you're doing without having, that taste left in your mouth, right?
What light beer are you including in this? Because Hamm's is garbage, all right? I'm just going to put them out there.
Get out of here.
I'll go in, just like Grit. Also
like
garbage.
Your Coors, your Bud Light, like your Miller Light, like that kind of stuff,
Gotcha.
And I just mean it like...
Welcome to the Essential Beer Cast.
You go for a highlight
the only
right
reason
now.
I was saying that is because of my explanation of how, like, I watched this movie, and then when it was done... I was done, right? I didn't have to like have my imagination play with tiny details of my house. I watched it, I enjoyed it, and then I was like, all right, we're good. And that's good. Yeah. It's good to have that.
Absolutely. I think at the end of the day, right, like, is this movie essential? Not for me, and probably when it comes to the zeitgeist of horror films, it's the same way that, like, is Friday the 13th 4 essential? No, it's just not. It's just like
spoilers for when we do Friday the 13th 4 a year from
now.
now.
But no, but no, Friday the 13th 4 is the one.
He's right,
where they're in the group home, right?
That's the one I'm thinking Friday the 13th 4 is Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh.
Or no, it's the final chapter.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to wind that. No. Four is the. No, 4 is the Tommy Jarvis one. That one might actually. That's the first
Tommy Jarvis one. 4, 5, 6.
That one actually. That would actually. I take that back. That one might actually have some actually 5 or 6, whatever. The one. That one.
5 is the one with the fake Jason spoilers.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one. That's what I was thinking of. 5 is the one I was thinking of. Is that movie essential? Nah, probably not.
Yeah.
But it does something for some people. It's fun, like you said. It fits into a thing. They're doing a universe, which is cool in its own way, because it's the same thing for like the major slasher sequels or the Saw sequels or anything like that. It does something for people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't
do
think,
it for me. Like,
I definitely don't think that the question and answer of is it essential I think that's exclusive. It's separate from the rating and from my opinion on the movie. Like, I gave this movie a 2.5. I stand by that. I think it's fun. I definitely think, like, if you're just looking for something new to watch, like, yeah, check it out. People are going to be talking about it. It's probably worth watching if you're already a fan. But if you are only trying to watch, like, the absolute best, the stuff that people are going to be talking years from now and not just weeks from now, then no, it's not. And I think that's exclusionary that way.
I just wanted to make that clear.
For sure. And I think that's worth.
We have been religiously shitting on this movie and this franchise, at least me and Alan, and on this franchise as a whole, the entire time, because I speak for myself that I am not a fan, and I'm assuming Alan is also lukewarm on it at best.
It's fine, but I wouldn't ever choose, like, I would never choose to just watch, like, even a Conjuring marathon. I don't even think I would want to do that, because it's, again, I wouldn't gain anything out of that.
You don't want to sit down with me for 16 hours? Let's binge.
No, we can watch Lord of the Rings in that same amount of time.
But no,
like, for the 19th
but
time.
Like, that doesn't, but like, in the same way that I think that comparing this to Marvel movies works in the same way.
Yeah,
Marvel movies can get away with more because there's less stakes involved. You don't have to feel anything while watching a Marvel movie. You just have to consume product and then buy product based off of product.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also, this is a take, but like, I think most Marvel movies aren't essential so far as like actual film goes. I think there's a couple of really good ones, and the rest are like, yeah, if you're a Marvel fan, you probably want to watch these, but otherwise, like skip it. Like if you were, this isn't a Marvel podcast, but like I think that every big franchise has those. Like a couple of ones where you're like, okay, these are essential. Watch these and you get it. And the rest is like, if you're a fan, check it out.
But every Star Trek movie except Wrath of Khan, it's like, if you like Star Trek, watch it. But
Star Trek 2009 is pretty good.
I did enjoy the newer Star Trek movie. I don't overly care about that entire series. I had a lot of fun with those movies. So,
speaking of Star Trek, what have you guys been up to lately?
That's about.
Okay, so who's been watching Star Trek lately?
What have you guys been up to lately?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'll tell you what I've not been up to lately. Star Trek, anything.
Same.
Just not a big Star Trek fan.
Who said that?
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, who even brought Star Trek up? Like,
weird.
Why would that happen? Anyway, so I've been watching Constantine lately from the CW. It is pretty cool. I like it a lot.
I liked it. It was a really cool one season.
Yeah. It's only one season. Kind of a bummer, but so far I'm digging it. I also recently watched In Search of Darkness on Shudder, which is a 4.5-hour long documentary about 1980s horror. It's
one or two?
Just the first one. So I just finished it like really 2 days ago, so I really want to watch the second one.
That sounds like a documentary like built for you as a human being.
It's
like,
sick as hell. It's sick as hell. It's got James A. Denise in it from Dead Meat.
How long is the second part? Like 2.5 hours?
I don't know.
2 hours or something. So for anybody that doesn't know what this is, it's a super long documentary where they go year by year of the 1980s, 1980 through 1989. Awesome. And they just show these like 2-minute vignettes of major movies that came out in that year. And they have major players in the horror industry talk about those movies. They show clips, and then after each year, they talk about the industry as a whole, and then they go on to the next year. It's awesome.
It's really cool.
And they managed to talk about the movie in a way that is like insightful without being long-winded, and also like it tells you about major moments in the movie, but isn't really spoilery, so you can watch it even if you haven't seen all the movies. It's cool. Absolutely worth a watch.
Have there been any on there that you hadn't seen yet that you now want to go and see because of this?
I made a big list.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Entire Critters franchise.
I love Critters, dude. Have you never seen Critters?
No.
You would love it.
I know I would.
You said Critters, I heard Tremors, and I was like, that's
Love
an odd pick.
Puppets. Love me some puppet monsters.
So yeah, I watched that recently, and then I've been playing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which for me it matters because it's my first time playing Mass Effect ever. So unlike everybody else who's working through Mass Effect, reminiscing about the glory days of 15 years ago, for me, I'm just playing it like a new game.
Cool.
Yeah, just living life.
Heck yeah.
It's all right.
Cool beans, okay. Cool beans.
So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
piggyback off of that because I just beat the first Mass Effect last night and started playing Mass Effect 2 because Mass Effect 2 is a perfect game and I won't hear anything else that contradicts that. So I burned through Mass Effect. I also, I think of all of us here, I probably play PlayStation more than anybody by a fair margin. Returnal came out.
Mm-hmm.
That game, it's like there are elements that are incredibly frustrating because you get a big run going. So to give some background info, it's a roguelike third-person shooter, and one of the best parts about those types of games, like Hades is a perfect example because it's more recent. You die, you don't really feel like you lost anything when you die in Hades. It's, at max like a 25-minute run, and that's pretty slow to get all the way to, spoiler, I guess, Hades. I don't know if that's really a spoiler that you get to him, but here we are. You don't really feel like you lose anything. In Returnal, one of the biggest problems that game has is you die and you kind of walk away from it instead of like, I want to boot up and immediately start another run again.
That's because the runs are too long, right? That's what I've heard.
In part, and it's also some of the ways you die, just there's a lot going on. I mean, it's a 3D bullet hell as well. So like there's a lot going. I mean, this is the same studio that brought you like Resogun, for example. There's so much going on the screen, but it's gorgeous. I mean, I 100% recommend it. Like, if you've got a PS5, why not go buy it? There's not really any other exclusives out there for you, so go buy and play this one. It's fun. Played a ton of that. Beat Mass Effect. I was gonna say something else. Video game or no, Invincible. I do nothing about Invincible, and I watched the first episode.
Watch that yet.
Bobby,
I know.
Just watch the first episode. That's
I know.
it. I'm telling you. You'll get one episode in and you'll be like, okay, I get it.
I know. I just haven't had the time to do it.
I do the dishes at home, usually on Sundays. After the raid, actually. It's pretty much always when I do dishes.
Raid for what, Alan?
For Destiny 2, that Bobby, you're going to be streaming that tomorrow, right?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, there we go. It'll be too late when you finally hear this, but that's neither here nor there. Come join us next Sunday when we do the raid. But I booted it up and I watched the first episode, and then I watched 5 more episodes that night and was up far too late. But I didn't regret it one bit because it's so good and it's so easy to get through. It's like 8 episodes. So kind of grinded through that. And then, of course, you knew I'm going to talk about disc golf. Because this Golf Pro Tour is going on right now. The Portland Open is going on. By the time you hear this, somebody will have won. I don't know who that is. The PDGA Worlds is right around the corner. It's going to be great. I play a lot of disc golf every week. It's a good time.
Solid.
I'm a fucking nerd.
I guess we can go counterclockwise around the Discord.
You're already doing it.
I'll go next. So I also finished Invincible. And it's great. I would recommend it. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, like Cold War / Warzone. I'm back into that. Been having a lot of fun. LCS is back for their summer split. For the first time, their League of Legends professional scene.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And for the first time, they're keeping like their records over from spring split. So basically they have 2 splits and it's segmented spring and summer. And this is the first time where your record that you had prior is being carried over.
Cool.
It's basically a way to kind of like make sure that the teams with the best record go instead of someone who just had a lucky split.
Sure.
Really into that.
A season for LCS. Like how many matches is a season in LCS?
Jeez, I think it was like 18, maybe 17 games.
And those are best of 3 games, right?
No, not anymore. So they did that for like a year and then they switched off of it.
Did they? I didn't know that. That makes it way more watchable. I should catch back up then because the best of three, man, what a commitment that was to watch the games.
So basically, the Korean and Chinese scenes still do best of threes for everything, but the European and North American scene do just best of ones for the season.
Nice.
Cool.
I love that.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so much easier to watch, like you said, when it's just like one game.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14, and that's been my MMO that I've been playing and having a lot of fun.
Nice.
I've never heard someone who plays that game say anything bad about it, and that makes me scared because, like, is it that good?
It's okay.
I don't want to find out.
It's okay. I played it a while
You are
ago.
genuinely the first person I've ever heard go, yeah, it's all right. Everybody else is like, it's the greatest fucking MMO that you're not playing. Why are you not playing it? Go play it.
Those are people who are playing the game. They want more people playing the game with them.
I mean,
You gotta hype it up, yeah. Gotta fill that server.
I don't need to hype up WoW. You know what WoW is. Play WoW.
Yeah.
Like,
You're
like,
playing. You're playing WoW right now, aren't you?
not right now.
Well,
But yeah.
no, but
I recently got
Crusade
back
come out yet?
into. I recently got into WoW Classic for Burning Crusade. That
you
was
go.
when I really got into it in earnest. So I made a Blood Elf Paladin so I can really just be as vanilla as possible, and level 10,
When did Burning Crusade come out initially? 2006.
something like that.
So this
Yeah.
is like the 15th anniversary, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was
Yeah.
a literal child.
Yeah.
Didn't that expansion add like an insane amount? Like it was
Yes.
$40 when it came out, and it was like
every
here's like
every WoW
2 games
expansion,
worth of content.
every WoW expansion does this. Yes.
If you're a WoW player, they spoil you with expansions compared to
Yeah.
other games.
Yes. But so I've been doing that, and that'll either last or it won't. We'll see. The other two things I've been doing are the dorkiest things that I think I've ever done in my entire life.
Oh boy.
Is 3 out of the 4 of us in the podcast have recently gotten to Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, true.
So I've been doing the things that are required to do that, which means like making, painting, and like reading
Learning.
up on how to play that game, which is
Yep.
like a little miniature tabletop RTS real-time strategy game, essentially. And the final thing that I have been doing is I've recently decided and have started to learn, because it seems fairly easy, and it is a lot easier than I thought it would be. It's still super difficult. The speed running strategy for the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Oh
man.
yes.
Any
I
percent?
love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've recently a glitch run,
Unmodded.
unmodded glitch,
Ooh,
like
yeah,
and unmodded any percent, right?
I love this.
So
I
you
love
can
that.
so feasibly, I think the roll record's like 3 minutes. I'm at like 20, so I'm not anywhere close because it's really hard because you have to like glitch out through the wall like 4 different times. But I did it for the first time, got all the way through it for the first time. It's not pretty, it's not good, but I'm getting through it. So we'll see if I get any better.
What's your goal?
I want to get sub 10 minutes.
Okay.
I think I can do sub 10 minutes.
So you're gonna
'Cause-
let us know when you get to sub 10, then, right?
I will let you know if I get sub 10. If we never hear from this again, that means I gave up.
If you're listening to this
longest-
and I've never talked about it again, I never got there.
Yeah.
When I first played Dishonored, I was like, man, I'd love to learn the speedrun strats. Then I watched a speedrun of Dishonored, and I was like, nope, never mind. I have no interest.
Real
somebody-
speedrunning is so far outside of what the average gamer thinks a speedrun
So
is.
somebody
far
described
outside.
it. Somebody is what speedrunning is for the uninitiated is trying to beat a video game the fastest way possible. There's a bunch of different categories, right? 100% trying to do everything in the game that you can possibly do, completely beating the game 100% of the way, as fast as possible. Any percent is you can do whatever you want, right? Including glitch out the game. So like,
Well, and even that can get
you can
fucking
kind of
wild
like
categories.
get in between walls, in between the fake walls, and kind of walk out of bounds and like kind of
think-
stuff like that.
I think any percent is the most interesting.
Yeah. So somebody described any percent as the menu that the game creators didn't want you to have. Like so, like, and I thought, and I was like, that's like it's like going to McDonald's and getting the secret menu, which like isn't real, but like we all pretend was for a really long time.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. It's really, and so I'm having a lot of fun with it, despite it like being just stupid. It's just pick red guard as fast as you can, and then you have to like run into the wall, save, quit out, load back in, wiggle your way out of bounds, and then like adrenaline rush, run like it's but it's a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens with that.
Nice.
Cool.
Alan, you're gonna say something about speedrunning real quick?
So I think for me, any percent is not the one that I love the most. It's whatever doing the most amount of content without being 100%. If that's a category, that's usually one I go to. And the reason, the specific game I'm thinking of, shocker to everybody, Dark Souls,
You
all
talking about
bosses
glitches?
speed runs are some of the most entertaining shit you can watch in any sort of video game experience. You'll watch some guy play through all of Dark Souls 3, including the DLCs, and beat it in like an hour and a half. And you have to start thinking to yourself, that includes all the travel times between every single boss, leveling up. I mean, the Souls games are some of the most fun speedruns to watch.
For sure.
And just in general, like any of those speedruns where it's like, it's not any percent, but it's not like you need to pick up every single thing.
Yeah.
Whenever there's
It's
one
like
that's
the main
so-
quest, basically.
Yeah, you're talking about
Those are-
glitchless runs.
Yeah, well, and even then, like I don't necessarily like in Dark Souls, you can glitch stuff wild. Like in Dark Souls 1, there's I don't remember exactly what the glitch is, but like you do a move set of a different weapon, so you'll have like the dragon's tooth, but you can use a rapier stab by just like glitching it real quick, so you get a stupidly quick jet. It's awesome, like just stuff like that. It's so cool. I love watching speedruns. We're actually summer SGDQ is what, like less than a month away at this point.
Soon.
Yeah. Gotta watch that. Love me some games.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh yeah.
That's
Awesome.
essential.
Yeah.
Games done quick.
Games
is
done quick.
essential.
Absolutely essential.
100%.
Absolutely. I think we'll probably end up talking about games done quick. Where can everybody find you guys? Talking about that, talking about other things online. Where do you reside? Yeah, Grant.
G Footy at anything that matters. GFOOTEY, all caps.
Anything that matters. Remember that, people. So if you don't find him, you know that means.
You didn't give a shit.
Bobby.
Probably the best place for everybody to find me is at twitch.tv/theredweenie. I do not stream often. Do not expect, but all of my socials that are relevant are there. And if you follow me, you will at least see me stream at least once a week. Eventually, I hope to make it more of a thing, but right now it's just, I don't know. I just haven't felt like it lately, so I haven't been doing it. So eventually that'll change. But yeah, twitch.tv/theredweenie.
Nice. Alan.
A seal punter, just about anywhere that matters. I don't tweet a lot, but I respond to tweets pretty quickly. And if you want to see me post random videos of me throwing discs, that's on Instagram, pretty much exclusively. All my Instagram is disc golf.
Nice. And you can
And
find
Corbin.
me, you can find me just about anywhere at Corbangarang. That's Bangarang with a C-O-R in the front. If you can find me at one place, you can find me everywhere because my link tree is always there. I'm most active on Twitter, so if you want to see me ramble. And then I also post reviews on Backlogged and Letterboxd. So if you like what I have to say on the show and you'd like to read some content, follow me on Letterboxd. You can also follow the podcast anywhere at Essential Scares. We are currently on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You might already know some of those things, especially if you're watching the show. But if you're not watching the show, we're on YouTube, so come and check it out.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can see us talk with our hands. It's a fun time.
Definitely. With that, I think that's the show. What do we think?
It's been decidedly unessential.
It has been decidedly unessential. Next week, we're watching Candyman.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Peace out.
See ya.